Welcome to this vocabulary upgrade lesson. We're going to look at the word subtle in this lesson. Subtle. Now the first thing I want you to see is the spelling. There's a B in subtle, but the B is what we call a silent letter. So we don't pronounce the B in this word. Strange, but English is very often strange. So subtle, notice the pronunciation, subtle. So what does this mean? It means delicate and precise. So this is an adjective which means delicate and precise, or difficult to see or notice. So difficult to see or notice. Let me give you a quick example. So maybe you know the beer Guinness. It's a very famous Irish black beer. Now, when you drink Guinness, there are different tastes in the drink, but one taste that I notice and many other people notice is a tiny taste of coffee, a tiny little coffee flavor. Now, this flavor is very, very small. So here we can use the word subtle. So I can say Guinness has a subtle coffee taste. A subtle coffee taste. So this means the taste is very delicate and very small, and it's almost difficult to notice, but it's there. It's a very small, delicate taste. So we can use subtle in this case. Let's look at some examples in detail. This curry is amazing. The perfect spiciness and the subtle taste of coconut make it perfect for the taste buds. So here I've used subtle with taste again. So notice subtle collocates very, very well with taste. So I used it for the example when I spoke about Guinness. It has a subtle taste of coffee. And in this example, I used it to talk about the subtle taste of coconut. It's a very small taste, but it's there. So subtle and taste collocate very, very well. Let's look at another example in use. I love your new house. The room colors are beautiful and the subtle lighting gives it a lovely warm effect. So we've used subtle with the word lighting. This means the lights in the house are very delicate. They're not very bright and overpowering. They're very delicate. So it gives the house a feeling of warmth, a very nice, warm feeling. So subtle can collocate with lighting as well. Very commonly used with lighting, colors, things like this, to do with art, kind of art, interior design. Subtle is used a lot with words like this. Let's look at one more example in use. The boss didn't look mad, but I could hear a subtle tone of anger in his voice. Okay, so what does this mean? I could hear a subtle tone of anger in his voice. So the boss, he didn't look mad. He looked okay. But in his voice, I could hear a little bit of anger, which means inside he was probably feeling different to how he looked. So subtle tone is also a very good collocation. We can use subtle tones of color as well. So subtle tones of gray. So when you talk about, someone's complexion, or you can talk about a painting, you can say there are subtle tones of green in the painting. Or his eyes had subtle tones of gray. So this is a very good word to collocate with tones, colors, As I mentioned earlier, taste is a very, very good collocation for this word. Now let's get you thinking more about subtle, this word. Let's look at this question. Which is most likely to be described as being subtly sweet? So I've used the adverb here, subtly sweet. Which one would be subtly sweet? A cake, chocolate, or wine? Think about that, subtly sweet. I would say wine is most likely to be described as being subtly sweet. Why wine? And why not cake and chocolate? Well, cake and chocolate are usually very sweet, aren't they? They usually have lots and lots of sugar. So you couldn't really describe something as cake or chocolate as being subtly sweet. Some cake might be subtly sweet, but generally cake is very sweet. Wine, on the other hand, is very often subtly sweet. There is very sweet wine, but some wine has a little hint of sweetness. So you can say, this is subtly sweet. And look at this question. Who would most likely have a subtle French accent? A French person speaking English, an English person speaking French, or a German person speaking Italian? A subtle French accent. Well, I think we can eliminate the third one straight away. A German person speaking Italian would not have a subtle French accent. How about a French person speaking English? This is possible. You could say, he was very fluent in English, but I noticed a subtle French accent. You see? So this means his or her English is a very high level. They're almost like a native, but I could notice a subtle French accent. We can say a hint of French. This is another common synonym for subtle, hint. How about an English person speaking French? Could you say he has a subtle French accent? Possibly, but I think it's better with the first one, a French person speaking English. So when a non-native speaks your language very, very well, you can say he only has a subtle accent of his original language. This means he speaks very, very well, very, very fluently, and his accent is very good. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, and if you have any questions, ask them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.